Hi everybody, Cynthia here. As you can see, I have paint out. Some of my TP rolls are already painted. Don't worry, I'm going to take you step by step through this. I told you I'd be back with a tutorial on a toilet paper mini album. We're not going to do the same theme, but we are going to do pretty much the same style. This one has an interactive front cover, ribbon closures, a ribbon binding and a ribbon closure that pulls off. Okay, we may do a similar interactive front cover. I might make it a little bit different. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with that yet, but it's going to have 3 big pages and 2 of the half pages. Okay, the half pages have top pockets, the bigger pages have side pockets. Okay, so we're going to get started. What you're going to need is, since this is an upcycled project, you want to save yourself 5 toilet paper rolls, or if you're not comfortable using toilet paper rolls, you want to save yourself a couple of paper towel rolls. When you know you're going to make this project, you want to flatten them out right away and put them under something heavy so that they stay flat. Otherwise, they're going to be big and bulky like this. Okay? I usually flatten mine out, put them under a bunch of stacks of books, and that does the job. You're going to need 5 this size. This size measures 2 5/8 wide by 4 1/8 long. So if you're cutting your paper towel rolls and you're following this tutorial, you want to make sure you cut them at 4 1/8 of an inch. Okay? Once you do that, you're going to take 2 of your paper towel or TP rolls and you're going to create your half pages. Your half pages measure 2 5/8 across. Okay? Open on either end. Then you're going to turn it around in your cutter and you're going to cut it 2 5/8. So you're basically making 2 5/8, 2 5/8 inch square. Okay? The pocket's going to be on the top. We're going to seal the bottom. So you're going to need 2 of these, and you're going to need 3 at this size. 3 of them at 4 1/8 by 2 5/8. You're going to cut 2 to measure 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. Once you've done that, you're going to choose a paint color that you want to use. I'm going to be doing a princess themed album through this project, and it has a lot of pastel colors. I normally paint my TP mini albums black or brown. Like for this patriotic one, if you guys can see close up, I painted the edges brown. I didn't think that was going to look very nice with a princess themed album, so I decided to use white, and I also added some pearlizing medium. Just adds a shimmer to the white paint. I thought that would look kind of pretty. When you're adding pearlizing medium to your paint, it says you can mix a 1-to-1 ratio, so I just added as many squirts as I thought looked kind of cool. Anyway, then once you've done that, also if you're gonna sell your TP albums, or you're gonna, you want to add photographs to them, these have acid in them, so you may want to get yourself some Krylon spray. They sell it at Michael's, Joann's, all the hobby stores. There's an acid-free neutralizer spray that you can buy and spray them. It'll neutralize the acid in the paper. You can spray it on your paper bag albums as well. The heck you call it? Lunch bags, the paper lunch bags, and neutralize the acid in that. It's made by Krylon. I'm sure there's other brands, but that's the one that I've used. I ran out, so I can't really show you guys, but I just thought I'd pass that along. So what I'm going to do is paint the edges, and I'm also going to paint the edges of this area. You don't want to add a lot of paint to your brush when you're doing that, because you don't want any of the paint going inside. I am a sloppy painter. You really only need to get the very edges because the paper is going to cover most of this. But I like to use a big brush, and like I said, I'm a sloppy painter, so there's that. Anyway, you're going to want to paint the edges on both sides of all of your TP rolls. Okay. Now normally if you're using black or brown, you'll probably only need one coat of paint. But since I'm using white, I'm probably going to have to do a few coats of this. You can also, if you'd like, you don't have to, seal the paint on the TP albums. I find that it absorbs so well into this cardboard stuff, you don't really need to do that. But when I do seal up my projects, especially for photographs, I use the paper Mod Podge, and this is acid free for the paper, and I use the matte. Okay, so you're going to want to do that to all your rolls, even your small rolls. You're going to want to do all the edges. Yeah, this might even take 3 coats, guys. Why did I choose white? Okay, I'm going to paint all of mine off camera because I don't want to bore you guys with this. And then I will be back and we are going to measure our papers and seal our edges on one side, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay, I will be back. Okay everybody, I am back. I painted all of my rolls front and back, a little bit on each side, and now they're all dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to start sealing them and covering them with paper. So these are going to lay this way. Your binding is going to go over here. So this is where you want to seal. I seal with hot glue. You can seal with double-sided tape if you want it to. You know, you could try and get some tape in there, peel it off, and then seal it that way. You can use regular glue. I like to use hot glue to seal mine. So just kind of bump mine open, and I'm going to run glue. You can see the tip of my pen on the inside all the way down. I'm going to run the hot glue, and then I'm going to seal it together. Okay? So, let me open this up. And I don't use like a huge amount that it's going to squirt out all over. But you want to get a good amount in there because you want it to stay sealed. I'm going to close it up. Now some of it might ooze out on you. Don't be careful you don't burn yourself. This is a non-stick mat. I usually fold that over it. You can get those silicone, if you use a lot of hot glue like I do, should probably get those like silicone fingertips. Just haven't gotten any yet. But anyway, that's nice and sealed now. Okay, so you have one side open that you're going to make as a pocket. The other side is completely sealed. And you're going to do that on all 3 of your large ones. And you're also going to do it on your small ones. You're going to seal the bottom of one of them and leave another one open. Okay? So seal all 5 of them. And then you're going to want to cover them with paper. Okay, so the sealed side stays on the left. That's your binding side. Your open end stays on the right. That's your pocket. Your mats that you're going to use to cover the front, those are going to measure approximately 4 inches by 2.5. Now, not all TP rolls are exactly the same. Not all paper towel rolls are exactly the same. So cut one mat, put it up against your TP roll, and check to make sure it fits before you go ahead and cut all your other papers. okay? So for your 3 large ones, your mat should measure 4 by 2.5. So we're gonna paper this one. And I'm just using HEG tape, and that's made by Scotch. It's acid-free. You can get it at Michael's, Joann's, any craft store. You can probably get them online as well. I like to put tape around all the edges and a little bit in the middle. Okay, I'm going to line this up. And I cut my mats so that I actually have a little bit of a white paint border, which you'll see. Okay, so the front part's matted. Remember, our pocket's on this side, so we're going to flip it over. Pocket's now on the other side. And we're going to mat this on top. And then I will give you the measurements for the smaller half pages, I call them, the 2 small ones. Take your time when you're matting them. Make sure everything lines up properly. Sorry, I was off camera there a little bit. Okay, push it down really good. Okay, so you have 3 big pages that you're going to want to do with the large mats. Your smaller mats, or your smaller pages, the ones that measure 2 5/8 by 2 5/8, seal the bottom, leave the top pocket open. The mats for this measure approximately 2.5 by 2.5. Cut one, put it up against it, make sure you're going to have enough room, and then cut the rest, okay? So I ended up matting all of mine. So these are my half pages. Then I have another large page, half page, large page. Okay? All done. My pockets are on the top and on the sides. So after you get done with all your matting, the next step that we're going to do is make our inserts for the large ones here, the ones that go in this way. Okay? Actually, before we do that, how about we start cutting the holes for, or punching the holes for our binding. This is something that I've always eyeballed, and I use 2 holes usually. I have a crocodile. It's not in the greatest of shape. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 3/16 of an inch hole punch, which is the larger one. And when you punch your holes, you're going to want to punch them for this large page. You're going to want to punch it on the sealed side. Only don't punch it on the open end. So usually I line them up, and I think I'm going to go in about, and this is what the crocodile is really nice for. I'm going to go in about maybe an inch. Is that an inch? I don't think that's an inch. It says it's an inch on my, no. I'm going to go in about a ½ inch. So a ½ inch this way and a ½ inch this way. And about a ¼ inch, maybe more. Let me see. Yeah. I'll do it with a pen, so I'll show you, okay? We're going to go in about a ½ inch and a ¼ inch. So ¼ inch, you're going to make a dot. Let's make a dot with a pencil. Let me do the ½ inch first. Okay, going in about a ½ inch. Make a little line with a pencil. ½ inch on this side. A little line with a pencil, very lightly so you can erase it, guys. Then we're going to go in about a ¼ inch and meet that pencil mark so we know where to punch our holes. ¼ inch this way, meet the pencil mark so we know where we're going to punch our holes. Okay? line it up. Punch a hole, line it up again. And punch a hole. Okay, now let me go through and erase those marks if there's any left. Now, we went in half inch from top and bottom, and then a 1/4 inch in and made our holes. Okay, now you don't have to keep measuring every single page. Once you've done your first page, you know this page is going to line up right next to it, correct? So all you have to do is line it up, make sure your pocket's at the top, your sealed is at the bottom. Use the front holes as a guide. Put it back in your punch. Punch through that first page into the second. Okay, it lines up pretty nice. Do the same thing with this one. And you can keep doing that throughout. Okay, so I got my holes punched here. This is my front cover. See how they line up? Okay, so then your next page, sealed end, open end, they're going to line up together. You can use your top holes as your guide and punch through the next section. Okay, you guys see how I'm doing this? I hope this is making sense. You're pretty much using the holes you punched on the previous page as your guideline to cut your holes on your next page. Okay, so front cover, second page, holes are done, third page, done, all lined up. Now I got another half one to do, sealed at the bottom. Okay, we're going to use this as a guide, line it up, flip it around, put them back in my punch. Use the top holes as a guide for your second page. Hold them nice and tight. Okay. And this is my last page, pocket on this side. Sealed end is where I want to punch, line up. Okay, make sure they butt up against each other here and on the bottom. And you're using these holes as a guide to punch through to the next page. Okay, using this as your guide for your punch, punching through to the next page. I am really glad I have this crocodile, because if I had to hand punch through this TP paper, I don't know if I could do it. It's really strong. Okay, so as you can see, all of our holes line up. You can see through to the other side. Okay, now I don't always use eyelets to seal these. You can if you'd like to. On this one, I have used eyelets, really tiny ones. I think these were the 1/8 inch. Let me see. Yeah, these were the 1/8 inch eyelets. These are 3/8 of an inch. Sherlock, will you please stop that? Thank you. Sorry guys, that's my cat. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to use eyelets right now. So we have all our holes punched for our ribbon binding. Okay. I'm not going to do the ribbon binding yet, because I want you guys to start measuring out your tags that are going to go in these pockets. They're not going to go all the way in, because if they did, they would get in the way of the holes that you just punched. So the tabs that you're going to pull out for the large pages, you're going to need 3 of these. These measure 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. Once you get 3 of these cut out, you're going to want to get 6 mats that are going to go on this side and the other side. Okay, your mat size should be approximately 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. Do not start matting them yet though, okay? Just get them all cut out. And then I like to have some kind of tab so I can use it to pull out my pockets. So for this, the tabs that I used a heart punch. So I have a bigger heart punch for the bigger pieces, and then these small ones that are going to pull out of the top pocket, I used a tiny heart punch. And I'll show you how to put this all together. If you don't have punches, you don't worry, you don't need them. You can just cut paper and use that. Like here, for instance, this measures about 1.5 inches high. You can go in, right, and you can measure this on your measuring board too, but go in about 1/2 inch. You can fold this in half, okay? Before you mat your page, you want to put adhesive, open it back up, put adhesive on each side, line it up in the center, and glue it on, okay? And you can use that as your pull tab. You don't need a punch. Same thing with the small one. Just cut your tab a little bit smaller, fold it in half, glue it onto your page first, and then mat your paper over it. Okay? So don't fret if you don't have punches. Don't run out and buy them. Just use paper for now. But I've cut the larger hearts for the larger cards, and we're going to use that. The glue that I love to use for my pull tabs is the Scotch Scrapbookers glue. It's a 2-way applicator. So on the top it has a fine tip, and then on the bottom, when you twist this off, it has like a mesh wide cap, and I like that a lot. I just put my cap that it was in a washi tape ring because it just holds it up nicer when I'm working. So what you're going to want to do is put glue on one side of your tab. And I do use tweezers a lot, guys. You don't have to. Glue on one side. You're going to want to line it up, put it on, center it halfway down and halfway between the edges here. Okay, line it up real nice. Flip it over. You're going to want to put adhesive on one side of another tab. Okay. And you're going to line that up with the one you just glued. Make sure they're on real nice there. Got a rag here somewhere. Where did my rag go, Sherlock? Oh, there it is. Thanks, buddy. And I'm just gonna push down here. Okay. Okay, so that's our first pull tab. Now you can go ahead and mat your pages. Once you get all your pull tabs on the larger tags here, you're gonna mat them. I also, for my papers and my mats, I rounded all the corners. So I rounded the corners for this one and my mat that goes on top. So let me line this up. Can't see what I'm doing. I have to stand for this. It's getting darker in here, guys. Thank goodness this wasn't sealed down yet. Okay, try that again. There we go. Okay, so this side's done. Get my bone folder. Smooth that out. I'm going to flip it over. And we're going to mat the other side. And the reason why you want to put your pull tabs on first is so that none of the pull tab is actually sticking over your mat and, you know, hanging out over your mat. It's underneath your photo mat. Okay, so you're going to want to do 3 of these. This is the first one. I know this is the second one. No, this is the first one. Okay, they're going to slide right in. The heart's going to stick out. They're not going to get in the way of your binding over here. Okay, so that's one. This is the second one. You're going to put it in your larger piece. And this is the third one. You're going to put that one in your larger piece. So we already have the pull tabs done for the larger pieces and the tags that go to that. Now, for these top pages here, I created little tags with little tiny heart tabs. And these are actually booklets, so you can open them up and you can get 2 pictures on this side and 2 on this side, or you can get like 1 photo journal inside, another photo, you know, whatever you want to do. And they fit in the top pockets here. Okay, so in order to make these, you're going to want a sheet that measures 3.5 by 2.5 inches. You're going to either fold it in half, or I like crisp, nice crisp edges. So I'm going to put it in my scoreboard, and I'm going to score at 1 3/4 inches. Okay, I'm going to fold that in half. Now, I like rounded edges, just like, let me get the scoreboard out of the way. Sorry. I like rounded edges, just like on this one. Okay, so what we're going to do is get the punch, and you're going to round the corners, and then you're going to fold it in half where you just scored it, and you're going to stick these corners in your corner punch. Okay, it worked really well on the last one. I just didn't use my bone folder on this one, sorry. And you're going to run it, you're going to want to round those. Okay, so now you have your booklet all ready to be matted. I have my 2 little tiny hearts here that I'm going to put on my front page only. That's going to be my pull tab. Come on, baby, you got to get down. There you go. He likes to jump on my chair while I'm working. And then, of course, I almost sit on him when that happens. Okay, so add some glue and get my tweezers because my fingers are big. So this is the front cover, or the front of the booklet. I'm going to line it up here, halfway down and halfway in between, so it's centered. Okay, glue that on, flip it over, add glue to one side of this tab here. Sorry, I need a rag. I got glue on my fingers. And we're going to line it up. Okay, so there's our pull tab. Let me just push down really good with a rag in case there's any excess glue that wants to squish out on me. Okay, I was just thinking to myself, I need my glasses. Where are they? They were on my head. On the top of my head. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to want to mat them. So I cut 2 for the inside, or 2 for the outside and 2 for the inside. And the mats for these measure 2 3/8 high by 1 5/8 wide. And like I said, each TP Mini, it might measure different depending on the brand that you have. So your measurements might be a little off. I'm just showing you a basic tutorial on how I put mine together and giving you the measurements that I use, and they should work for you as well, but definitely cut a mat and check it out first before you proceed. So I usually do the 2 outside pages the same color, and then I will flip it to the inside and I'll do those the same as well, but you can do whatever you like. Okay, line that up. Also, when people show you how to put these together, like when you're just learning, you don't want to copy everything verbatim, the exact same design, exact same papers, things like that, especially if you're selling them, because you're just taking somebody else's design and claiming it as your own, and that's not cool. So if you do, make stuff, after a while, when you learn to put these together, you'll make it your own design. You'll design your own things. Okay, so that is our booklet. The outside front flap has the pull tab so that when it's in the pocket, it's just a little bit easier to pull it in and out of the pocket, and then it's a nice cute little booklet. So now we have the first page with its pull out, and we have our second half page, and that one has its pull out, the third, the fourth that we just did, and the fifth. Okay, so we're getting there, guys. Now all we need to do is the ribbon closure, and we're going to need to do the interactive front cover page. That we are going to complete probably tomorrow. I'm going to try and get one done. If not, definitely Sunday. Today is Friday. So I will try and get that on for you. And then once we do that, it's pretty much ready to be decorated. So I will definitely be back with the ribbon closure and the interactive front cover. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.